7 Days to Die just got a new update that is only currently available on PC in the experimental version, but will be coming to the rest of the platforms soon enough, I'm sure. And the big feature of this update is of course the new chicken coop. And in this video, we are going to be taking a look at the chicken coop and everything you need to know about it, including how much it produces and how to use and upgrade it, as well as the new food items that were added. But there were some things I want to cover first related to the new menu toggles I think some people may have missed. So let's jump in and see what 7 Days to Die 3.1 has to offer. So before we get into the chicken coop, I want to cover some of the new menu toggles that were just added to the game. The first of which is a feature that has been asked for a very long time in 7 Days to Die and has been one of the most popular modlets available for several years now, and that is the stack size multiplier. With this, you can make any stacks of any item 5 times larger, allowing you to carry up to 30,000 items for those larger stack items like wood. You can also reduce it all the way down to just 25% if you want it to be harder or more realistic. In the same vein and tab, you can now turn hunger off, turn infections off, turn thirst off, or double your hunger and thirst, or triple your infection chance, so you have more control than ever over those. You can now also choose the daytime and nighttime density, so if you want the game to be harder during the day, you can, or if you want it to be harder at night, you can also do that. Additionally, a bug has been fixed that caused ranchers and chucks to not be affected by zombie density, so they've been terrorizing us on normal spawn rates, it turns out. Oh my god, fun pimps, please let us turn down the number of those that spawn. They are the worst. Additionally, we have the ability to customize the yields of the chicken coop in the actual yield, the time, and the input. Additionally, you can customize the chicken stress event, which I'll explain when we get to the chicken coops. Let's head into the game. There are also 4 new loading screens. Here's one of them. If I see any more throughout the recording of this video, I'll show you them, but otherwise, they're not that important. So this is the new chicken coop, and as you can see, it's a kid's play shed thing, I forget what these are called, turned into a chicken coop. In order to craft it, you're going to need level 6 workstations, and the big thing is going to be 200 scrap polymer probably, but you can still get this pretty early in the game. We've placed one down here. If we press E on it, we can see all the options. What you need to start your chicken coop is 2 of this chicken feed and a chicken. So to obtain a chicken, we need to find one. Wowee, a chicken. And with an open hand, you can press E to grab them. They got some jiggle physics, and there's a stress mechanic we'll explain in a little bit. But once you have one, just grab him and drag him into the chicken slot there, and then you need some chicken feed. Chicken feed requires corn and rotten flesh, but it doesn't require any recipes. I tried to buy some from Trader Rect, but he didn't seem to want to sell some ever, so maybe he just can't. But with 2 chicken feeds, it will begin to produce eggs and feathers. Okay, it looks like it takes about 24 hours to produce some then. Yeah, and when it does, it looks like it produces about 2 eggs and 5 feathers, but that is only if it has access to 14 chicken feed. So you need to give it a lot of chicken feed to produce as much eggs and feathers as possible. If you just gave it 2, it would just produce 1 egg, as you can see with my little test down here. So give it as much chicken feed as you can so it can produce as much as quickly as possible. Let's pull those out for now. But that's pretty lame, all things considered, right? In order to really turn up the chicken rates, we're going to need more chickens, more feed, and these 3 upgrades. The first of which is the lamp, and the brooding lamp requires 14 workstations and these materials, and this will increase the production rate of your chickens. Given some feed and 24 hours, it produced about twice as much, and used a fair bit of feed as well. The next thing you want is a chicken run. The chicken run requires 18 workstations, all of these materials, and it will reduce the feed cost by 50%. Pretty useful because you do need a fair bit of this feed to produce chickens and eggs and stuff. So now if we give it feed, right, let's do that, give it 24 hours. Used about 14 feed. I think that's better for what we got there. And of course, if we had more chickens, it would produce faster. Or no, I think it produces more, sorry, not faster. So if we do this, 250 feed 3 chickens, give it a day, yeah, you'll see it produces more per slot rather than faster. So you'll get 2 eggs and 5 feathers per chicken with the brooding lamp. And it does, of course, increase the amount of feed used if you use more chickens. To add to that, we have The nesting box, which is 24 workstations, requires these materials, and this will allow you to put more chickens in, and if you give it at least 2 chickens, it will produce a chicken as well. Throw those in there, take out all this, give it a 24 hours. You'll see 12, 12, 30, 30. So 24 eggs, 60 feathers in one day with this. Of course, it did use almost 100 chicken feed, and it didn't quite produce a actual chicken yet. That took about another 12 hours. So it seems it takes about a day and a half to produce a chicken compared to all of this. And that's with 6 chickens, which I think does increase the speed. So you don't get many chickens, but once you do produce chickens, you can scrap them in your inventory for 10 additional meat, which is nice to have passively. Which brings us to the foods that you can craft with the new chicken. Although I should say some of them don't actually require chicken, they require meat. So first we have chicken nuggets, which will max out your inventory capacity as well as give you a decent amount of food. These just require meat, they don't actually require chicken at all. They do require feathers though, and they will remove your encumbrance for 6 minutes, and they require 11 food to be able to craft. Pretty good recipe. I think they're a little bit too powerful in my honest opinion. Like not everything has to be so powerful, and that'll be a continuous theme with this, but it's not the end of the world. We have Roadrunner Jerky next, and that will give you 20% faster run speed. Again, another very powerful one. I think is kind of unnecessary, but this one is unlocked 18 food and requires an actual chicken to craft, so the equivalent of 10 meat plus beer. Then you get Ash Chicken Stew, and this one's just a really good food item. It'll probably be the new best sort of like mid to late game food item because it's relatively cheap to craft if you have chicken coops going on. It requires 1 domesticated chicken, 1 mushroom, 2 mushrooms, 3 ears of corn, coal, and water. And it doesn't produce any smell when you eat it, which is a nice little bonus effect for it, I suppose. The last one you unlock is chicken wings. Chicken wings give you infection immunity and 10% more melee damage, and are unlocked at 90 food, and will require a chicken, cornmeal, egg, oil, and honey, which is actually extremely easy to produce later on in the game. These are probably going to be the best late game food item, just given things like infection immunity and melee damage and how much food they produce. Yeah, some very powerful food items there, maybe a little bit too powerful in my opinion. I think, you know, they have a real tendency to make the new food items really strong. They did the same when they added like honey brisket and honey glazed sham and stuff, but it's better to have some overpowered food items than just never get new food items again. Which brings us to the last thing we really need to consider, which is the chicken stress event. So if we grab a chicken and just run around like recklessly, you can see the stress level goes up. If we stop, it gradually goes down, so there is like a mechanic to this. And once it reaches 100%, there will be a chicken stress event. By default, this is set to random, so it will choose one of the 4 drop events. This one is going to give us the murder chickens event. This will spawn a small horde of chickens. It seems to be 3 to 5-ish, and they'll peck you to death. They do the same damage as a zombie. I'm just on insane difficulty, so they're very strong. You can't chicken coop these chickens because they're a different animal entirely, but the original one is actually still here somewhere. So once you deal with those chickens, you can go back to trying to grab the original. These chickens cannot be put in chicken coops, but they can give you 5 meat each, whereas regular chickens give you 10. So they are still kind of useful if you can fight these 4 chickens, which isn't the hardest thing ever. The other events that can happen are you can just drop the chicken and then you can just pick it back up. Or the chicken itself can become a hostile chicken, which is just the same as the little horde, except it's just one of them. And you won't be able to put that one in your chicken coop. The last one, I will need to go back to the main menu to show you probably. So if we come into sandbox options, crafting, chicken stress event, you can choose if you don't want to deal with the hordes or the angry chicken or the drop chicken or whatever. Like you can specifically set it to whatever you want. I'm going to set it to zombie horde to show you it, because I don't feel like randomly rolling for it every time. Here's another one of those loading screens though. And this will summon a zombie horde when you stress the chicken out. I don't know how that works, but it just does. And the zombies seem to be leveled based on your game stage, as you're about to see. There's a little horde of 3 dogs, plus a radiated zombie. Sorry, yeah, 3 dogs. I've seen 4 dogs before though. Ah, there we go, 4 dogs, 2 radiated zombies. 2 ferals, and a regular. This is the biggest horde I've seen so far for it. At lower levels is just like 4 regular zombies, but as you get to higher levels, it does become like things like infernals, cops, whites, zombie dogs. It gets pretty crazy, so be careful when getting these chickens and be ready to run for your life. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these new features, and if you agree with me that some of these food items are overpowered, or that we need the ability to reduce or even increase the amount of ranchers and chucks that spawn, leave that down in the comments as well. For my regular viewers, by the way, there will be a video coming out quite soon. I know it's been like 10 days since my last upload. I've been in a bit of a limbo with it, waiting for the sponsor of that video to approve, so sometimes these things just take like a week longer than they're meant to. But rest assured, I've been working on other stuff in the background and that will come out soon. So you'll have a dense couple of weeks here while there was a bit of a drought there for a week, and I do apologize for that. I also have a big announcement coming in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that has been 7 Days to Die 3.1, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.